Okay, so when you think of the most influential inventor of the 21st century, who comes to mind? Maybe Steve Jobs, Elon Musk? Well, what if I told you it's actually a ghost? A name without a face, a creator who built a world-changing technology and then just vanished. Today, we're opening the case file on Satoshi Nakamoto.
And we're not talking about some small-time project here. This is the mind behind Bitcoin. Yeah, that Bitcoin. The peer-to-peer electronic cash system that basically kickstarted a multi-trillion-dollar global industry and completely challenged how we think about money.
And then, just as their creation was really starting to take off, they just logged off, disappeared, gone, leaving us with one of the greatest technological mysteries of our time.
All right, let's get into it. The story really kicks off in October 2008. The entire global financial system is an absolute meltdown. And right in the middle of all that chaos, a 9-page white paper quietly shows up in the inbox of a few cryptographers. Its title? Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And the author? Someone named Satoshi Nakamoto.
Now, the idea itself was totally radical. Think about it. A new kind of digital money that governments couldn't just print more of and that banks couldn't control. It was designed to be secure, kind of anonymous, and totally decentralized. The paper laid out this whole system, built on a brand new technology called the blockchain, which is basically a digital public ledger that's almost impossible to tamper with.
So for the next couple of years, Satoshi was really active, writing code, chatting with a small circle of early developers online. As you can see, things moved fast. But then, around the middle of 2010, they started to step back. They handed over the keys, so to speak, to a trusted developer, a guy named Gavin Andreessen. By 2011, they sent one final email, and then just silence. Nothing.
Okay, so let's move to our next file. If we want to figure out who this ghost is, we have to go full detective mode. With no real identity to go on, people have had to piece together a profile from all the digital breadcrumbs Satoshi left behind.
And this is the first huge question you have to ask. Are we looking for one person, a single brilliant mind? Or are we looking for a team? The crazy thing is, the evidence points in completely different directions.
And this is where it gets really interesting. On the one hand, the way Satoshi wrote and coded was super consistent. It really feels like one person with a single clear vision. But on the other hand, the amount of knowledge required to pull this off, you need to be an expert in cryptography, computer science, economics. That just screams team effort. And to make it even weirder, they used a mix of British and American English spellings. What's up with that?
But digital forensics gives us another huge clue. Somebody analyzed the timestamps on all 500 of Satoshi's online posts, and a really clear pattern popped out. There's this big gap in activity every day between 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That looks a lot like a sleep schedule, right? And it would place our mystery creator not in Japan, as the name suggests, but somewhere in the Americas. So, with a rough profile taking shape, the hunt for Satoshi has really focused on a handful of key people. It's time to check out the lineup.
First up, we have Hal Finney. This guy was a legit legend in cryptography. He was one of the first people to see Bitcoin's potential, and he was on the receiving end of the very first Bitcoin transaction, ever, sent directly from Satoshi. But here's the wild part. He happened to live in the same small town just blocks away from another guy named Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto. Come on. But despite all those crazy connections, Finney always said, nope, not me. Analysis of his writing also showed it was pretty different from Satoshi's. Sadly, Hal Finney passed away back in 2014, so if he had any secrets, he took them with him.
All right, next up is Nick Szabo. To a lot of people, this guy is the prime suspect. He's a brilliant computer scientist who, years before Bitcoin was even a thing, designed an incredibly similar system called BitGold. The ideas are almost identical, and get this, linguistic experts say his writing style is a near-perfect match for Satoshi's.
But just like Finney, Szabo has been crystal clear in his denials. Whenever he's asked, he basically says, look, I think Bitcoin is great, but I'm not the guy who created it. End of story.
So this brings us to Dorian Nakamoto, a retired engineer who probably just wanted to live a quiet life, but was suddenly thrown into the global spotlight. In 2014, Newsweek magazine put him on their cover and said, "This is him, this is Satoshi." And their evidence was pretty much just his name and the fact that he lived near Hal Finney. The media storm that followed was so insane that it actually did the impossible. It brought the real Satoshi out of hiding. After 3 years of complete radio silence,
Satoshi's original online account posted a single 5-word message, "I am not Dorian Nakamoto," and then gone again. It just shows how badly this person wants to stay anonymous.
And finally, we've got the one suspect who actually wants to be Satoshi, an Australian computer scientist named Craig Wright. Since 2016, he's been all over the place, publicly and in court, claiming he's the one. But here's the thing. He's never provided the one piece of proof that would settle it for good. He can't prove he has access to Satoshi's original Bitcoin wallet. And despite all his lawsuits, a UK court ruled in 2024 that no, he is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
So all of this brings us to what might be the biggest question of all. It's not just who Satoshi is, but why? Why would you build something that could literally change the world and then just walk away from it all?
Well, the logic behind the Disappearing Act is actually pretty brilliant. By staying anonymous, Satoshi made sure Bitcoin would never have a single leader, no central point of failure. It makes the whole system truly decentralized. Plus, it protected them from all kinds of personal threats, and from the legal headaches that could have shut the whole thing down before it even got going.
And think about this for a second. It's estimated that Satoshi controls about 1 million Bitcoins. That's a fortune worth tens of billions of dollars. And for over a decade, not a single one of those coins has ever been moved or spent. That's maybe the best evidence we have that this was never about personal wealth. It was about the project.
So, after all that, after following the digital clues, looking at all the suspects, and thinking about the motives, where does that leave us?
The hard truth is, the trail has gone completely cold. It seems like the creator of Bitcoin pulled off the perfect disappearance, and their identity is probably going to remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of our time. But maybe, just maybe, we're asking the wrong question. What if the mystery isn't a bug, but a feature? By vanishing, Satoshi gave Bitcoin its most powerful gift, the idea that a world-changing system doesn't need a powerful leader, that a great idea can belong to everyone and to no one. So what if the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto is that it just doesn't matter?